this point, I gotta just go and give it and see what happens and see what I learn from it. I think there is a huge opportunity to fail, so setting my focus on just giving it my best shot. There's so much that can happen. I've done all the sections multiple times, so I really know the route. Yeah, and then getting used to just moving slow for a long, long time.
Last words?
Go have fun.
All right.
3, 2, 1, start. All right. See you guys up there. Bye. All right. Bye.
You know, I always loved bagging peaks in the Cottonwood Canyons, and the beat out is a really classic hike. So one day I was up there doing it, and you know, I'm up on top of the Pfeifferhorn looking to the north, and you know, it's a spectacular view, and I'm looking across the canyon, across Little Cottonwood, staring at the beautiful, you know, red quartzite that defines the upper part of the north side of Big Cottonwood, and I'm standing on this beautiful granite. I'm kind of looking over there going, you know, I'm looking at that and sort of falling around with my eyes, and I'm like, well, you know, this seems like an obvious major extension, or introduction, I should say, to the beat out hike. So at that point, I kind of just said, like, you know, we got to do this.
It's all the cool peaks at one time. Really, it's just like a long, strung together adventure. And you literally start and end kind of on Wasatch Boulevard.
The WURL is an amazing way to like experience Salt Lake, you know, experience the entire Wasatch. You show up, you have one day, you climb all the mountains, and you're like, what a nice day in the Wasatch.
The WURL, it's an acronym. It stands for the Wasatch Ultimate Ridge Linkup, which in hindsight, not really that creative, but it's really pretty simple to describe. It's just circumnavigating Little Cottonwood via the ridge and all the peaks that make up the ridge. And from my perspective, it's trying to adhere to the, you know, the crest of the ridge as tightly as you can from start to finish.
It has over 21,000 feet of vert. It's 36 miles and something like 21 summits. And it has just grown in popularity, really growing in the last few years with more and more people doing it. Yeah, it's a big thing around here.
Anywhere in the valley, anytime you drive up Little Cottonwood, you look around and you're like, oh, that ridgeline is pretty striking. So I think it's something you can get to, it's something you see every day. And then when you hear about people doing it, it just kind of sticks in the mind and you're like, I really should get out there and try it.
It's gone from just the province of this ultra badass to, you know, this like smaller circle of climbers and intense trail runners to something that everybody at this point kind of knows what the WURL is, even if this isn't their world. Frankly, the fact that so many people have done it makes other people feel like they're ready, even if they might not have the background for it.
It's not a trail run. It's not a rock climb. It's not weird, nebulous in between. That I think sparks enough hope in people that like, I could probably pull that off, you know.
The day before I planned to start, a bunch of smoke blew in from wildfires, which was just sort of out of my control, and decided to just keep on going with it because you gotta just at least go instead of changing your plan. I honestly started feeling nauseous at like an hour and a half, 2 hours into the day. And I think it had to do with the smoke. My eyes were stinging, my throat was dry. And that started to I tried to push it out of my mind, but it started to really wear on me that just completing the WURL itself is such a massive feat. I feel like everything has to be going right for you to complete it. So being that early into my attempt really made me nervous and uncertain if I would be able to complete this at all.
It requires respect in the moment.
It's a good proving ground because it's long enough to be really challenging and things can go wrong, so you have to be really focused.
I was nervous, but I just kept on pushing forward. I stopped looking around and instead just focused on the trail in front of me. Wherever you are in the world, you can look at where you came from and where you have yet to go, and it can be so intimidating.
For so many years, it was kind of confusing to people, is maybe a way I'll put it. You know, to climbers, it wasn't technical enough, and it was just this long slog, so maybe not that interesting. To runners, it was definitely too technical for people who were used to just trail running. People look at the numbers, the distance, and maybe the elevation gain, and underestimate what it involves.
It's not a running route.
No, it's really not. Yeah. It's a climbing route that runners can do if they're good at climbing.
You get a lot of trail runners going at it that are like physically fit and just think they can bang it out, and then they get out there and just a lot of time on exposed terrain. You're scrambling a lot of the time. It's heads up.
I think if you can run 100 miles, you can be out all day. Like, why wouldn't you go do it?
Well, you made the point. If you can run 100 miles, you might as well do it. I mean, I think you can't just look at it as like, oh, it's just 36 miles, because the comfort in loose terrain or rocky terrain needs to be there, and that needs to be considered.
How you doing? Pretty good. Good. Pretty big low, but I'm feeling better now.
Got lots of potatoes.
Oh, thank God. That's what For me to have success, I felt like I needed to have a solid crew system. I think to move fast, you have to have crew along the way.
For Mali, you know, she doesn't know when she gets to these aid stations what might seem appetizing. So there's options all the way from potato chips to pickles to chocolate cake. I think most people are doing it supported like this, and yeah, there's a ton of behind-the-scenes work that you wouldn't really expect.
With this many people, this close to such an amazing mountain range, you know, and with so much stoke, with so much enthusiasm here, if you're going for it, they want to help you.
It's amazing, actually, to see pictures of these big crews showing up, and the crews get into it every bit as much as the person tackling it. You know, that to me is really cool. So it takes that level of kind of training and planning and looking for the right weather window, because I think it takes, you know, similar effort to, you know, 100-mile race for most people. In some cases, more.
One thing I do worry a little bit about is the possibility for disaster.
My own personal opinion is if you don't have a climbing background, you probably shouldn't be up there.
I mean, I think of ultra runners as being like mountain people that are out, you know, in rocky terrain all the time. But negotiating a fourth-class ridgeline is like, you know, can be pretty hardcore, and there's certainly places that if you fell off, like, you could potentially die.
I worry that people are going to get up there and get in over their heads. I mean, there are many, many sections where if you screwed up, you'd fall. Hundreds, thousands of feet. So yeah, greatest risk is you slip in a really critical section, you fall to your death.
It's not safe, but a lot of things, I guess, aren't safe. And we do them anyway.
My God, there they are. It's 11:52. I'm going just under 12 hours.
Fuck this wind.
It's bad.
Fuck the snow. I felt horrible. Like, I was struggling mentally. It's definitely a tempting spot. I know that a lot of people have stopped or pulled out at Snowbird, just being like with the tram right there.
We could hear the music of Oktoberfest down in Snowbird. And the thought of eating bratwurst seemed a lot more important than finishing the WURL.
You learn that you go in waves of up and down, and I had just been down for so long that I was like, well, my wave of feeling good is gonna come. So just kept on moving forward. Coming into the Fife, I started feeling so much better. My body was feeling strong, and I looked at the time and I was ready to go.
Good job, Mali.
Whoa, my God. I'm gonna try to go fast here. Refill water bottles for me, please. Christian, do you mind carrying until I finish my Camelback, those two?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm in and out of like lows, but
absolutely. I have also some Coke here.
I want electrolyte, please.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm like frantic.
You're good.
Okay, I'm ready. Can you grab my pulse? Yep. Thank you.
Is it cool if I go with it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Nice to see you. You too, girl.
Good luck, Mali.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Christian, I'm gonna catch you guys in one minute.
That sounds good.
Thank you, Drew. Feel good right now. There's been highs, there's been lows. Right now I'm riding a high.
What has been the happiest you've been today?
I have no idea, maybe just now. I seriously felt pretty bad all day.
Good work, Mali.
Heading into the last section with feeling better. I was having fun, ready to push it, and really enjoying this. It's not an easy section. It's got a lot of rock scrambling, slow moving, and a lot of exposure and tricky moves. But I felt really confident in exactly where to go.
Still feeling good?
Approaching Lone, the last summit of the day, I really started to fall apart. Everything was really getting to me at this point.
Nice work. Oh, look over there, Lone Peak. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Nice. Just a little bit higher.
Right up here, right?
Yeah. Woo!
Okay. Just getting to the little summit of Lone, you know, felt good.
You crushed it. Nice work.
But like it wasn't over at all, and I still was just so weak. I could feel it coming on, that like salivating. And yeah, then I was ready to go. Once that happened, like I was confident again, I could move again, I could think again. I think I like celebrated a little bit, but like that was not the celebration. The celebration was to get through the notch. I think is the most dangerous and the scariest section of the whirl.
We are at the notch.
So the notch, I think part of it is that part of the super sketchiness is that it's the end of the day and you're super tired. But yeah, it's very steep, probably 45-degree, just scree gully, super loose blocks. It's like really, you could really easily get hurt there.
It kind of feels never ending sometimes, because as you come out of the notch, you see this broad expanse of Bell's Canyon in front of you, and you want to get there, but you're still on this uneven terrain. And
it's just kind of like that last kick in the nuts before you think you're done. It's like, oh no, now you got to do this.
Are you okay? I was right on the rock, huh?
My naive obsession for the WURL introduced me to ultra running, and I have Jared to thank for coming up with this route and inspiring me and really like directing me into like who I see myself as an athlete and giving me focus and direction. There's such an accomplishment to the challenge. Like when you accomplish it and push through those hard barriers, it means that much more.
Yeah, ladies! Yes!
Hi!
I had a lot of people say, that was something I'll never forget. That was one of my best experiences in life. Those mean a lot to me. It's a ridge route. It's intended to be one where people follow the ridge. Pretty dang close, with a few little tiny exceptions.
There's this really interesting thing that's like, if you will just stick to the ridge, the mountain will give you a way. It'll always give you a way through. Like, that's the WURL. Just stay on the ridge.
It's become a little bit of a rite of passage, it feels like to me. Like, I always felt it was good enough to be that. It was good enough to be that thing that if you lived in the Wasatch and you love the mountains and moving on, kind of technical terrain, you gotta do it. The country doesn't understand how good it is. Well, they're starting to learn, and eventually the world's going to learn. So maybe that's the next chapter. I feel like it grew very locally, very organically. I think it'll be cool and interesting to see really big names come and try it, right? And they might be like kind of slapped in the face, like, wow, those times by those, local people are really stout. In a way, I think that's probably one of the funnest parts as a local, to look forward to that next chapter, is like the big name who everybody knows gets their butt kicked relative to those times. I think that's really, that will happen. I think it's gonna be really hard to beat the locals.
And I sat down and I just start sobbing. This is the hardest thing. I never intended to quit in that moment. I was not planning.
But I had no idea.
I had to get
It seemed like he was quitting.
And then in the middle of the night, and I actually saw the lights from Heber, I guess, but I didn't even know there was a town there, and I thought that was Salt Lake, and I got totally disoriented and probably walked for 45 minutes in the wrong direction.
I think we had McDonald's and Wolverine Cirque, and we had Little Caesar's Pizza on the Pfeiffer Horn. It may have been why we were so slow.
Then one summer, I finally felt good enough to go for it, and I promptly got my ass kicked, and we bailed a third of the way through and went to the Pie downtown at midnight to eat pizza and cry.
He didn't whistle once on the WURL, by the way. There's no whistling. I just did. That would have been it.